stepdaughter, who I devoted my whole life and all my money to raising, repays me by helping her dad cover up her affair and introducing his mistress as her mother at the college graduation party I fully paid for. Now she's being thrown out of the house. BC. They say they don't need her anymore. BC. They're clearing room for their actual family. Picture this. You've poured your heart, soul, and savings into celebrating someone you consider your own daughter. And then, at the party you paid for, she stands up, thanks everyone, and introduces your husband's mistress as her new mother. Can you even begin to imagine the pure, gut-wrenching betrayal? Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me just a few months ago. And trust me, that was just the beginning of one of the most twisted stories I've ever lived through. It still feels like yesterday, the night my life exploded. My husband, Dave, and I had been together for 16 years, married for 12. And for all those years, his daughter, Lauren, who I raised since she was 5 years old, they were my entire life. My whole world. So when I found out Dave was cheating, it was a punch to the gut. But then, to discover Lauren had been his accomplice, actively helping him cover his tracks, that didn't just punch me, it ripped my heart out. And the absolute worst part, they chose to announce their sordid little secret at Lauren's college graduation party. A party I paid for. This was about 3 months ago. Lauren had just come home after graduating, and I wanted to make it special. I invited all her friends, our family. It was a big deal. David mentioned one of his coworkers, Nina, would be there. Nina had joined their company about a year prior. I'd met her a few times, even had her over for dinner. She always seemed so cordial, so polite. Now, looking back, it makes me sick to my stomach to think I welcomed that woman into my home, treated her with kindness. That evening, I remember every sickening detail. Nina showed up late, after everyone else, looking like she was walking a red carpet. Totally overdressed. Heads turned. She didn't even acknowledge me, just glided straight to David and practically clung to him. And he just let her. It was weird, totally inappropriate, but I told myself I'd deal with it later. Tonight was about Lauren. I wasn't going to make a scene. But then, just minutes after Nina's grand entrance, Lauren decided it was time for her speech. All the guests were there. I was already uneasy, seeing David and Nina together. And then Lauren started. She thanked her father for everything, saying how he'd single-handedly raised her after her mother died. My blood ran cold. Single-handedly? After I came into their lives, I'd poured my finances, my emotional energy, everything into her. I was her mother in every way that mattered. And she just erased me. Just like that. Then she started talking about one other person who had been there for her these past few months. Someone who cheered her up, helped her through stressful times. Against all logic, a tiny, desperate part of me hoped she might acknowledge me. Maybe this was the part where she remembered me. Even though we'd become distant since she left for college, a chasm growing between us. I thought, surely she'd appreciate me now. But then, she dropped the bomb. She said this person was as good as her mother because of their bond. And in front of everyone, to my absolute horror, she walked straight to Nina and gave her a huge, heartfelt hug. I just stood there, like a fool, a complete, utter idiot. It was a slap in the face so hard, it stole my breath. My mind just went blank. Everyone was staring at me. My stepdaughter, my daughter, just called another woman her mother. After what felt like an eternity, the shock wore off, replaced by raw humiliation. I couldn't stay. I bolted, ran inside, up to my room, locked the door. And then the tears came. A flood. I'd heard enough. I'd seen enough. The hug, Lauren's words, the way David was holding Nina's hand like they were a family unit, and I was some invisible outsider. I wasn't stupid. I knew exactly what was happening, and it was sickening. I waited, just a few minutes, for David, for Lauren, someone, anyone, but no one came. I was alone, just me and my shattered heart for over an hour. Eventually, I stopped crying. A cold clarity washed over me. Nobody was coming. This family, this life I had built, it was broken beyond repair. So I started packing. When I came downstairs with my bags, David, Lauren, and Nina were waiting. And they immediately started berating me, accusing me of weird behavior, of ruining the party, making everyone uncomfortable. They said they had to serve dinner early to avoid further drama. And they said all this right in front of Nina. That was it. That was the last straw. I'd planned to leave quietly, but their audacity ignited a fire in me. I tore into them. I demanded an explanation, even though I already knew. I wanted to hear it from their mouths. David, finally, admitted he'd been in a relationship with Nina for months. He said he'd lost feelings for me a year ago when he first met her. And then, the ultimate insult, he blamed me. Said I'd become a nag. And without Lauren as a buffer, he realized the spark was gone. But with Nina, he felt that spark again. She was the right woman for him. And then he told me Lauren had known from the beginning. She was on board. She thought Nina was better for him. That's when it hit me. Not only did she know, she actively helped him cover his tracks. Disgusting. And the worst part, Lauren stood there, hand in hand with Nina, looking proud. Not a hint of shame. Just proud. I was beyond amazed. So much ingratitude. So much selfishness. I didn't waste another breath. I looked at them, this new family, and said, I wish you luck. Then I walked out. Within a week, I filed for divorce. 16 years of my life. Gone. Just like that. Do you think I'm going to let them off easy? Hell no. I demanded a ton of alimony. I want the house. And I don't feel guilty for a second. I sacrificed my own chance at children because I considered Lauren my own. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine this betrayal. David is going to compensate me for every single tear, every single wasted year. He doesn't agree, of course. We've been in mediation, and they've been twisting everything, trying to paint me as the villain, blaming me for his affair. But I'm not afraid of court. Not anymore. I've been through enough. And honestly, the scales are already tipping in my favor. Just a couple of days ago, Lauren showed up at my apartment, begging for forgiveness. I still don't know how she found me. I'd been so careful. But there she was, crying at my door. I told her to go away, but she wouldn't stop. She'd been kicked out by David and Nina. They'd found out Nina was pregnant. Not just found out, they'd known before the graduation party. That's why they made their announcement then, because Nina was starting to show. They told Lauren she needed to find her own place. The house is huge, easily enough for all of them, but they're planning to rent out the second-floor room for extra cash now that Nina quit her job, probably because the entire office was gossiping about her and David. My friend, who's married to one of David's co-workers, told me everything. David's lawyer is probably charging a fortune, and he knows he can't maintain his lifestyle and pay alimony and support Nina and a new baby. I've known how his mind works for 16 years. He's desperate. So Lauren was out on her ear. But even hearing all that, I wasn't about to forgive her. I told her to leave. It was hard to keep that door shut, but I knew if I opened it, I'd end up helping her. And I'd already paid the price for getting involved with that family once. I wasn't doing it again. She kept begging, saying she finally understood how I felt. That her father was insensitive. That she was so sorry. She just needed a place to stay until she found a job. I started bluffing about calling the cops, and she finally left. But not for long. Yesterday, she started texting me from a burner phone. More sob stories. It was obvious she just wanted a place to crash, for sympathy. I wasn't falling for it. Then she sent a text saying David and Nina told her she needed to move out to make space for their actual family, referring to the new baby. I was so irritated, I finally responded. I told her, they're right. Judging by the person you turned out to be, you couldn't be true to anyone. You're not worthy of being anybody's family. And then I blocked her. I knew she could just get another burner phone, but I was done. Now, everyone's accusing me of being too harsh. Apparently, she's disappeared. She was staying with a friend, but after my text, she went for a walk to clear her head and never came back. Her phone's off. David called me, screaming, telling me I had no right to say that to his daughter. I fought back, reminded him he kicked her out. He started all this. I put him in his place. But a part of me, a tiny, annoying part, still felt bad and worried. Am I the bad guy here? I wondered, but then I snapped out of it. No, I'm not. I realized David and Lauren, they don't feel guilt. They're probably incapable of it. Lauren was doing this for attention, I was sure. She'd show up, and if not, David could call the cops himself. It wasn't my mess. I blocked his other number too. 2 days later, they found her. Guess what? She wasn't missing. She just went to stay with another friend in the suburbs and ignored calls. No reason to worry at all. And then she contacted me again. Said she needed time away from everything to think about what I'd said. That my opinion mattered more than she realized. That I was right. She knew she had betrayed me, and no one deserves to be treated like that. She apologized, profoundly, over and over. She finally explained why she sided with Nina. David had promised to fund her lifestyle for years, give her whatever she wanted. Bribed her. He'd been writing her checks for an entire year to keep his affair secret and ensure she sided with Nina. A sellout. Honestly, I wish she hadn't told me that. It just made her even more disgusting. Now, with his financial mess, he can barely fund his own life, let alone hers. Their fun and games. Over. And it's all because of me. I don't feel forgiving. I feel like they deserve every bit of suffering coming their way. And more. I blocked Lauren again. David hasn't tried to contact me. But we'll see each other soon, with our lawyers. And here's the kicker. I just heard from my friend that David quit his job 2 weeks ago. Today was his last day. Didn't tell anyone. Total shock to the office. But I knew it. He's planning to start his own business. Now it all makes sense. Why he suddenly needs to save money, why he sacrificed his relationship with Lauren. It's all about the money. But it doesn't matter. I'm still getting my alimony. He's been stalling, using Nina's pregnancy as an excuse, but I think he's just terrified of confrontation. Because we were getting closer to either court or a settlement, and he knew he couldn't drag it out much longer. Just a couple of days ago, I had my last mediation session with David. And guess what? He finally agreed. To my terms. All of them. Because with all the new information, especially the screenshots I had from Lauren, it was undeniable. What I was asking for was fair. He knew if it went to court, he'd lose even more. So after months of dragging it out, he finally caved. My win. My sweet, sweet victory. I'm celebrating, believe me. He has until the end of the month to move out. The house is mine. I'm not even going to live in it. I'm renting it out. Make some decent money. David's idea, actually, finding ways to earn passive income. Heh, I'm moving into a bigger apartment, maybe getting a cat. The future. It's wide open. I wasted 16 years with David and Lauren. But never again. My life is mine now. Hey everyone, it's been almost 2 years since I first posted this. Rereading those updates, it's crazy how miserable I was back then. And how much has changed. I definitely lived up to my promise of living life to the fullest. I've traveled the world, made new friends, gotten into amazing shape, done all the things I put off because David and Lauren didn't have that adventurous spirit. No more waiting around for them. I haven't had contact with David at all. Lauren sometimes messages on holidays or my birthday. I don't respond. I hope she moves on. She's young, and people make mistakes. What she did was unforgivable, but I do wish her a good future. I heard she has no contact with David either and is working out of state. Good for her. As for David, he's a father to twins now. His business, not doing so well. He tries to make it seem like he and Nina have a perfect life, but his close friends know the truth. They're constantly fighting, bickering over money. They don't even care who's around to hear it. My friend still gossips with me, and honestly, it brings me so much peace. To know he's suffering for what he did. Maybe someday I'll forgive him, or at least ignore his existence. But for now, I'm just happy being petty. So after hearing all this, tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever had to choose between letting go and fighting for what you deserve? I really want to know what you think in the comments below.